Hello and welcome to the Josh Leisman Experience Special Edition C9 versus TSM episode. This episode I wanted to do something a little bit different, where I talk to someone who's close with C9 and then talk with someone who's close with TSM. So for C9, a lot of you are already familiar with Tyler. We talked to him before the season about his thoughts on C9. We're going to check back in on that and then get some updated thoughts as it goes into the matchup against TSM. And then after that, on the TSM side, we're going to be talking to Arthur, who is a senior producer on the team and also very passionate TSM fan. So I thought it would be fun to give my own opinion during those two conversations, as well as get the opinions of some of the more passionate or maybe biased fans. So welcome to JLXP episode 11. Hope you enjoy it. Welcome back to JLXP. We are here to talk about the C9 versus TSM matchup. And for C9, I've brought back Tyler. So if those of you who haven't watched the preseason episodes, we did a preview of each team, and Tyler was the C9 representative. Now, Tyler, I was reading through some of the comments. A lot of people were positive on you, sounded like a good C9 fan. Some people said you were being unrealistic about their expectations. What do you say to them now 3 weeks into the season?
They called me a madman. No, I mean, I could see to the untrained eye how it might have looked like I was being unrealistic. No, I think it was decently fair. I think that I come off fairly unrealistic a lot about C9. But it's always rooted in a very healthy amount of realism for me.
Yeah,
so.
I mean, if you watched back the preseason episode, we were definitely positive on C9. I had them second, and you were kind of making the argument that they could be first. I wanted to touch back on the main storylines and what our answers are for them now. So this is pulled from the story doc that I had for that original episode. And the one thing was, the heart of the team is gone, right? Zven Skaren won them games where Blabber couldn't. Sneaky was this calming veteran presence. That's kind of gone now. And how is that going to manifest? So far, it seems pretty good.
Yeah, it seems really good.
Yeah. What have you thought about the culture of C9? Because while they're still good and fast and like a little bit fun, they're no way to me as memey as they were before. Like they're kind of just taking care of business.
Yeah, I think it's interesting that you say that, because I actually think that they're just as memey as before.
Oh, the
mic checker.
The chat from the Dignitas game.
Yes.
Did you see that?
Yes.
Oh my God, it was amazing.
That was a perfect example to me of like, it was a good check-in for me to see, because I think I talked about in the first episode I was in, that we talked about how it seemed like Zven and Vulcan were immediately starting to get, C9'd. Like they're getting into that realm.
Just really quick, for those of you who haven't seen the image, I ended up retweeting it on my Twitter, but it was from a pro view where Niski was just spamming all the flash timers, except when Zven died, he said "worth?" ? And then Froggen replied, "get carried." So they're just, but everything else was just Niski and Vulcan spamming flash timers. But okay, continue.
So I think that's sometimes like, it's gonna sound like the dumbest thing to be most concerned about with your pro team, but
okay.
I think sometimes what I'm most concerned about is how memey the new members are going to be. Like, how well are they going to get indoctrinized by C9
to fit in, like the culture fit.
I think indoctrinized feels better to me, but so that's almost immediately like my first concern when it comes to these, because I feel like a big part of the reason why, and maybe this is just because this is how I feel when I play League, but a big part of the reason why I feel like they do so well is because they're all just kind of having fun. And I feel like that plays in a lot to them performing well, because they're enjoying what they're doing. And I feel like when you also make fun of each other a lot, it feels a lot less bad when someone calls you out for a bad play, because it kind of just, it brings you back to like when someone just made fun of you for doing something questionable, right? So but that Dignitas video was great. Seeing them all just in that same mood again, just talking like that. It was like, to me, that team still has the core fundamentals together. So
what was the in your mind, percentage chance that they would be this dominant this early? Because I have some stats, and it's actually pretty ridiculous through 6 games, but 23 dragons to 3. That's the fewest opponent dragons that any team across LCS or LEC is allowed. 7 barons to 0, 10 of 12 possible Rift Heralds. Blabber actually leads the league in kills as a jungler. Zven is 25-1-47 for a 72 KDA. They have the top laner with the greatest CSD at 10 in Licorice, 17.5. And Niski, this is kind of a new stat because you could argue it's good or bad, but he leads the league for mid laners team proximity. It's the percentage of the time between 3 and 15 minutes he's near his team, which is 32.2%. And he also leads the mid laners in kills and assists of 15, so he's making stuff happen. All of those things together kind of paint this picture of a team that is completely dominating every lane as well as the jungle. Like, kind of seems unsustainable maybe, but what are your thoughts?
I thought there were more stats. Is that it?
There's more. They're middle of the league in combined kills per minute, so they're actually not super fast. Every gold graph is up and to the right. There are more stats.
Wow. Every gold graph's up and to the right. Wow.
Yeah, surprising.
That's just, I can picture it in my mind, and it just looks beautiful. So whether or not that's sustainable, I don't really see why it couldn't be sustainable. I think looking at other teams in the past where we, a TL is an example of like, this is just a dominant team that sweeps NA. Oh man, it feels so good to say was a dominant team.
We'll probably check in before this happens, but like the road to 18-0 is like, no one's gone 18-0 in the LCS before.
The closest team ever was C9, right?
Immortals.
Immortals.
Immortals 17-1. C9 was 25-3. It was a longer split. That was back in 2013 summer. But it's funny, they play TL game 18. First round robin, they have TSM left, EG, and CLG. And we talked a little bit before about all of the main questions we had for C9 before the season have been answered. Like, the heart of the team gone. Is Niski going to play well this year? Yes. What's Zven going to be like replacing Sneaky when he's coming off replacing Doublelift? Is the pressure going to get to him? No. Is Vulcan actually a top support? Yes. These things seem almost definitively answered even after 6 games. But moving on to TSM, that is currently their largest roadblock towards the undefeated first round robin. And I have a little bit of a spoiler that I'm looking forward to seeing on Thursday. This is going to release before then. Dash has Licorice on the queue this week.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So that conversation, the queue is always focused more around just like the journey of a player and then a little bit of recent event. But he did ask Licorice, like, who do you see as your biggest competition right now? And he said, right now, TSM. So
he's being modest.
That's the prompt for you in terms of what do you see as C9 being opposition for TSM?
I mean, yeah, jokingly, I want to say he's being modest, but I think that's decently fair. I think when you look at TSM, especially for Licorice to say that, I think that's fair because I think when you look at TSM, the games of note that I feel like TSM has won for me are when Broken Blade it becomes a monster or something. That's usually how I feel. I feel like Bjergsen will have a good KD, and I won't feel like he's taking over a game, I guess. But all of a sudden, it'll be like Broken Blade comes out of nowhere, and he's a monster, and he's just winning team fights, and he's seemingly bringing TSM back from goal deficits a lot. I already feel like that's happening.
So across the TSM team, what is the most likely way they can achieve victory over the C9 team in your head?
Well, I'll use this time to bring up what I call getting away with it factor that TSM has.
Okay.
This is the factor in which TSM wins games that they have no business winning, basically. So
that happened a lot in like 2015 and 2016. Has it really happened this year that much?
I think so. I think it's easy to look at GGS, the game that they played against GG, and look at that and go, well, of course they were going to beat GG, right? Like, but when you look at that game,
but
really,
TL didn't.
TL didn't. They also lost to TL too, so TSM did, right? So when you look at GG, when you look at that game, it's like did TSM really have any business winning that game? I feel like GG was in control for a lot of it.
Mm-hmm.
It was a really messy game for them. And then kind of just, the TSM factor happens where they just like a couple wrong things go and then bam, TSM like wins the game.
Yeah, that was a week 2 game.
Yeah,
right? Yeah,
week 2 game.
Just to call back. I remember, TSM was down for a lot of it. It was a stolen Ocean Dragon soul. Like,
Yes.
Dardoch prevented it. And then from there, Biofrost stepped up and made a bunch of like good picks in the mid game. Yeah, I'd agree. In that one, there's a world where TSM is 3-3 right now. But they'd also be coming off 2-0.
Sure,
right?
that's true. Yeah.
Because they did look way improved this last week. The flex picks, they have unlocked a level of flex pick that other people haven't with the Set jungle and the Kiana jungle and the Kiana top. A lot of teams don't have that level of flexibility in their draft phase.
I think it's fair. And I think one of the other reasons, so I think if we're going to win conditions for TSM versus C9, I do think them getting control of the top lane, which feels so weird for me to say this because I feel like
Licorice's CSD is, we just went over it, best in the league.
Yes, and TSM spends like the most time top of every team in the league right now.
And there's a stat for that too. It's 12.4% jungle proximity, which is the highest it's been for TSM in 2 years.
Yeah, but and historically that's also how they play, right? Where they generally try to just stay top and get control of Rift Herald. And I think that's fine, and I think that also plays into why Licorice might be a little bit more reserved about this matchup or concerned about it or, think that this might be the toughest one because it's like, they're going to spend most of their time top and I feel like C9 spends most of their time bot. So I could see that he's going to feel like he's got a lot more pressure on him to perform well, especially against Broken Blade being very good and the fact that he's going to have probably Dardoch and Bjergsen up there a lot around Rift Herald. But
yeah,
I think making win conditions for them is just making sure that or first TSM win condition is they have to get control of top because I feel like they're not going to all of a sudden switch it up and pull a fast one on C9 and be like, haha, we're now playing bot and it's going to work out great. I just don't see that happening. I don't think in a week that they'll figure that out, especially when historically this is how they've played like for so long. So they have to somehow lock down Licorice, and I feel like C9 is very good at early getting to Rift Herald and switching their lanes.
I mean, when I look around the league, even just observing performance, there is just a large gap between C9 and everyone else. And when I ask around, that gap also exists in scrims. They're just this dominant team. The worry, I think, for C9 is going to be if they are unable to maintain this gap and kind of let other teams catch up to them while they're kind of unable to improve, or just needing reps playing from behind because they're just winning all the time. Last thing I'd want to ask you about with this C9 team is, you valiantly did the TSM win conditions. That
was hard, by the way.
For my TSM win conditions, I actually think some of it could be through like mid control because Bjergsen ended up having a good Syndra game and he seems to be rounding back into form and Niski leaves the lane a lot, which if you leave too much, it could end up creating a bit of a vacuum there. But here's a positive one. Where do you think C9 is most likely to shine? Like, what's the biggest mismatch for you here? Is it Blabber? Is it just like the overall thing? Is it the fact that Zven and Vulcan are so dominant?
I think naturally when you look lane per lane, the biggest matchup to me has to be bot lane. Not to say that I think Kabe and Biofrost are like a terrible bot lane.
And it's the revenge game for Zven.
Yeah, it's the revenge game for Zven, and he's been having a crazy start of the split.
Yes.
So to me, I still feel like it's the biggest matchup though, because I think when you look lane per lane, I don't really see huge deficits. Like I feel like Licorice being like one of the best top laners in the league or the best right now. Yeah. And then and playstyle wise, I feel like pretty similar to Broken Blade 2.
Yeah, Broken Blade's was really good in week 3.
Yeah. And I don't think that Broken Blade's doing bad, and I don't think he's a bad player. And I think they play very similarly, where they're ready to just play carry tops, at any time. And they do well on them. They don't just play them and kind of control the lane. They roam a lot. They get control of objectives, and they're good at it. I think when you look at Blabber and Dardoch, I think that they're actually very similar players. They're both ready to be very aggro. I feel like Dardoch can be a little bit more reserved, but that feels more to me like TSM.
He's been behind more as well, right?
Yeah.
Because Blabber in one of the stage interviews earlier this year said, "Hey, I think I'm getting a lot smarter now. I'm not doing."
Oh, he is. You can tell he's getting a lot smarter. Yeah.
I had some reservations about that, taking the Blabber out of Blabber in a sense. Is it just going to make him a generic jungler?
Yeah.
But he's towing the line in a good spot right now.
Yeah, and I think that he's doing a super good job of, because those were some of the concerns we talked about earlier too, where we were like, maybe it is just okay for him to be crazy, but it seems like he's doing a good job of toning that down a bit and still being like a healthy amount of crazy.
Yeah.
So I think you look at the jungle, and I still want to say I favor Blabber, but I wouldn't be surprised if Dardoch and him really butt heads this game and are kind of close.
Yeah.
And when I look at mid, it's like, yeah, sure. Everyone wants to be like, well, Bjergsen's going to stomp Niski, but I'm like, I don't even
Niski's really good.
Niski's really good. And even if the point of Niski to me on C9 is that he offers pressure to objectives that I feel like a lot of other mids don't, where like you said, he leaves the lane a lot. And maybe I don't feel like Bjergsen's gonna. I think Bjergsen benefits off of having someone that he can really stomp in lane. But I'm like, if Niski is leaving and doing stuff a lot, that to me isn't one of Bjergsen's strong points. He's
actually not going to be good at following.
He's not going to be good at following. I feel like maybe he'll push mid and get some plates and stuff. I don't view him getting first turret off of the amount of time that Niski's gone. So to me, I still look at that and I'm just like, I don't know. Sure, you can say Bjergsen's nuts and whatever, but I think Niski's just as good, and he's going to provide more pressure throughout the match. So then it's you go down to bot lane and it's who's really better than Zven and Vulcan right now? And we haven't seen that. It's
based on observable data, C9's never going to lose again.
Yeah.
That's what it feels like. It's ridiculous. I want to ask you this now because it is too early to ever make a definitive statement, but that's the whole point of these shows.
Yes.
What is your percentage chance that C9 goes 18-0? It's never happened in LCS. We're only 6 games in. They haven't even played TSM yet. What are the chances? 18-0?
100%.
Okay.
100%.
Okay, Tyler.
Yeah, I know. Just the way you're looking at me right now. So,
it feels possible.
I think it feels very possible. And I think that at first glance, you'll hear me say 100% and be like, oh, classic, right? What other answer is he going to give? And I think that's incredibly fair. I was, no matter what, going to say that.
Okay.
But
I'll give it 25%.
25%.
That's pretty high.
That is very high, yes.
Yeah.
If I was going to be reserved, and if I was going to sit in someone else's shoes, like another fan who's watching or something that isn't me, I would say I could give them a 25 to 30% chance of going 18-0.
All right.
If I was another fan and not myself. But I think it's pretty likely. Again, it's I know it's early in the league, and winning 18 games straight is
really
seems
hard.
Crazy.
One thing goes wrong.
Seems absolutely crazy. But I'm we had other teams go very close
Fnatic
to that.
did it.
Yeah, Fnatic did it. And then we had Immortals.
Yeah, 17-1.
Literally one game off, right?
Yeah.
So
who'd they lose to in that? CLG, but then they lost to C9 in later playoffs. For a second, I thought it was going to be C9.
It was C9. Wow, it being CLG too. That feels like a fluke, right? I don't remember then. I don't think CLG was a dominant team, but
they were good, but not amazing.
Yeah, so that feels like it was a fluke. So I'm back then, were we thinking that IMT was going to for sure go 18-0? Probably not until almost the very end, right? Yeah. So I think, even though it's crazy early, I think it's fair to say that they have a very good chance of going 18-0. I think when you look at the other teams in the league, I after this TSM game, we'll know or not. No.
You'll be a lot more confident.
I think we'll know or not after this TSM game for me.
If Zven does 7-0-12 or something, then you're like, he's going to get 150 KDA.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the feeling. Tyler, last time a lot of people wanted to know how they could follow you. What's your Twitter?
Oh gosh.
Do you want to share it?
Yeah, my Twitter is, and I'm sorry because I'm not on it a ton, but I will be on it more actively.
Yeah.
My Twitter is at Red Kozlov.
Okay. And it's spell that?
That is REDKOZLOV.
There it is.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's me.
That's you. That's a very professional looking picture.
That's me. That's a very old picture of me, but that is.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah. So, hit me up with a follow. I'm not active, but I will be. From now on, I will be.
You'll be answering some questions from fellow
questions.
C9 fans.
You can ask me what my percentage is week by week of C9 winning, and I will answer every week.
All right. Sweet. That's fun. Thanks, Tyler.
Yeah. Thank you for having me again.
All right. Welcome back, everybody. I am now joined by Arthur, a senior producer on our team. Hello, Arthur.
Hi, Jatt.
Do you want to tell people briefly what you do, and then also when your TSM fandom started?
Sure. I'm the senior producer for the North American LCS. I've worked at Riot since 2014 through various roles on the production team.
Yeah.
But my fandom for TSM goes way before working at Riot.
Yeah.
Do you remember
Game Cribs?
Pre-Game
Rain
Cribs?
Man?
It was CLG, TSM, one of the MLGs.
Oh, yeah. Like when CLG was playing with Salsa and stuff.
Rain Man was the top laner wearing a trash bag for TSM.
Yeah, because they did the streaming house in New York, New Jersey. It was on East Coast.
And I was starting to play League, and I came from watching StarCraft 2 esports, and I was like, there's got to be something like this for League of Legends.
Yeah.
And then I came across CLG TSM versus in one of the MLG finals.
Yeah.
I'm watching it at work in college, getting in trouble because I'm watching a stream. And then I got a huge affinity for the Odd One.
Yeah.
I'm not a jungler, never been a jungler, no interest in being a jungler, but his streams were the most entertaining, and I felt like I learned so much watching him stream.
Yeah. I have a different relationship with him. He was really good at counter jungling, and I played against him, and then he made this highlight montage of here's how you counter jungle, but everything was from the game we played against him. So
it's just you getting
killing me 4 times.
Okay, so I think my love of TSM came from that era of TSM. Reggie was playing the mid.
Yeah.
And then I remember reading that Dyrus was going to take over for Rain Man for a tournament, just a pickup tournament.
It was so much more.
It was so much more. And then the story kind of unravels from there, where eventually they're in LCS. I'm rooting for at the time, there was a very brief moment where TSM were the underdogs.
Yeah,
very brief moment, and that's when I picked them up, and I felt good about it. And then through my entire time working.
Oh, so there's a brief moment when C9 started dominating, and then summer 2014 they were the underdogs.
CLG was the bigger team.
Oh, you're talking about back in season 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was.
Right.
Then CLG went to Korea, and that is honestly when TSM became the biggest esports team in NA. Because it actually was CLG before they went to Korea. But that's way in the past.
Way back.
We know TSM has won a bunch of splits. We know they haven't won for 4 splits. We know that there is way more competition and finally lower expectations for them. In 2018, dude, even when they were struggling, people were saying, but they make every final.
Okay.
Just wait for them to come together.
I think they've had, obviously, on paper, the worst results, but I still think that expectations on TSM are very, very high.
Okay, so how have you felt about this season so far? Because we did the meme, I'm not sure how many people listening saw this, we did a meme TSM segment where I was the definitely not TSM Jatt and TSM Jatt, and it had the 2 spectrums after week 1. Hey, this team was supposed to be ran by Bjergsen, but they're awful. They look exactly the same. Then the other guy was, let's give them some time. And then they're actually 4 wins in a row, 2 shaky wins in week 2.
Yeah.
2 pretty solid wins in week 3. And now they're going up against C9. So how are you feeling about the way this whole split is starting to play out?
So I'm going into this weekend as okay, huge upside for TSM this weekend. They lose against TSM, you're supposed to lose
against C9.
Yeah, sorry, you lose against Cloud9, you're supposed to lose that game, right?
Okay.
That's my approach
what if they
right
get
now.
Obliterated?
Wouldn't be the first time that I've seen TSM get obliterated. I think if Cloud9 had dropped either of their games this week, I would be way more nervous going into this weekend.
Oh, because you're not even thinking about winning the game. You're thinking about what's the fallout going to be from the game.
Yeah.
Why is that more important? Because if C9 lost this week, then TSM would have a better chance of winning, but they wouldn't get as much credit.
I think that they have the same chance of winning.
Okay.
At least that's how I think about it. I don't necessarily agree that like they've had lower expectations, but going into this weekend, because they're looking good or looking better, like Dardok's looking way more active. The whole team's looking more active, right? One of our other producers, was their day off yesterday, he messaged me and was like, you should lock up that scene from Drive where Bjergsen's like, I'll do what TSM needs to do, or I'll make the moves to ensure TSM can win.
And then he locks in
Ornn. And like, I saw that.
Such sacrifice.
I saw that and I was like, what? Are you kidding me?
Bjergsen was 6-0-14 last week. He actually has the 4th best KDA in the league, which isn't that unlikely for Bjergsen because one of the biggest criticisms is that he becomes a KDA player.
Yeah. I don't believe that, by the way.
Yeah, I'm back and forth. Why don't you believe that?
I think he's a not risky player. And so that often shows up as being a KDA player because he's not like monkey diving at the end of a fight or something. Like I think he's like, okay, if the game's over, like I don't also have to make my score worse. I guess that's a KDA
Wait,
player.
I think you might be defining a KDA player. It's like,
okay, all right.
You get trapped.
Yeah.
That's definitely one of the things that I notice. Curious how you feel about this. So like I've been, as I'm sure you know, labeled TSM Jatt.
Yeah.
Right.
I put TSM Jatt, or I requested TSM Jatt to be an emote in one of our work chats.
It is.
I know.
Yeah. But it's funny because this is how I feel like it happened, and I don't think I've actually ever talked about this, but I think I cast every NA final from like 2013 to 2015.
Yeah, is that a humble brag?
No, but it is at the time. Like at the time, I was so paranoid about people thinking I was biased, about showing biased.
Yeah.
And I was trying to be as accurate as possible in what I was saying.
Okay.
But TSM won all the time.
Yeah.
So I just say a bunch of positive stuff about TSM, and I'm always comparing them to who their opponents are, and they were really good.
That was your job.
That was my job. But
we asked you to do that.
The people that are listening are like, that Jatt is always saying such positive things about TSM.
Yeah.
And then when I tried to like fight against it, it just made me more TSM Jatt.
Yeah.
So like I just lean into it as a joke now. But yeah, what is the full circle question here is, I think that at this point, TSM has just as many anti-fans as they do fans. Like people who really enjoy just looking for TSM to lose. And does that factor into like how you approach your TSM fandom?
Well, I felt like for a really long part of my job, I couldn't be a TSM fan because I felt like I'm disservicing the product if I'm always looking at it from the TSM fan perspective.
Yeah.
But I've like invited that part back into my life. Yeah. So I think there was like maybe 3 years where it's like I was a closeted TSM fan and I'm like cheering in the control room and I'm like popping off every time I see something cool. But last year in St. Louis, I let my fandom for TSM like kind of be more outwardly. Oh, you must have been
so disappointed.
Oh my God.
I came 5.
One of our engineers, one of our broadcast engineers came up to me at the post party and was like, Arthur, are you okay? Because he saw me go from like, they're gonna do it. Yeah. They're gonna beat Team Liquid. And then the play. Yeah. I'm like, I'm both scrambling to get the analyst segment ready for both directions because we're in a Game 5 situation. Yeah. Right? And I'm also watching my favorite team lose. Yeah. And I'm watching them. I'm just like my shoulders sink. Yeah. Yeah. So how does like being a TSM fan?
Yeah, just like, it's kind of like the additional feeling of whenever they fail, you're gonna just read all the anti-fans jump in.
Yeah. I mean, it
happens to a lot of teams, but it happens particularly to TSM.
Yeah. So it matches up a lot with my like basketball fandom.
Yeah.
So,
Lakers.
Yeah, I grew up in Southern California, been a Laker fan literally my entire life.
Yep.
And for a period of time, it was fun to watch the Lakers lose. It didn't happen all the time, but when it happened, everyone is like, oh, Lakers lost again. They're washed up. They can't do it again. They can't repeat. And then it's like, oh, that's weird. There's a new banner up there, right? Yeah. So I see that mirroring with TSM, and in my mind, it is inevitable. TSM will win an LCS final.
You're just waiting until
I just don't know when. And in this offseason, I thought TSM was positioned to make some moves.
Yeah.
Make some decisions around coaching staff. Like I thought that TSM had every opportunity to say, this is our year. And then I think the messaging that I got as a TSM fan was like, this could be our year.
Yeah.
If everything works out.
There's that level of confidence.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Okay. This matchup, TSM versus C9.
Yeah.
We've seen TSM improve week over week.
Mm-hmm.
They had that really shaky win against Golden Guardians.
Yep.
More solid win against Dig.
Yep.
And then they also finished this week in a pretty solid 2-0. Bjergsen looked better with the Ornn game. Broken Blade had the Kiana pop-up game. They're flexing set, Kiana jungle. Kabe's playing Xayah, not Senna. That's kind of what's working for TSM. Their average game time still slowest in the league, 39-40.
So
against C9, who's fastest in the league, 30-35.
If we take out that Immortals game, is that still true?
Oh no, it wouldn't be, because the Immortals game was 60.
Yeah.
So when you throw that into 6 games,
the
that's
longest
add,
game,
like, 4
the
minutes.
longest game in 3.5 years is gonna skew that stat.
Yeah, but it happened. Okay, but then the question for you is, where do you envision a TSM victory happening if it happens? Where can they gain their advantages over the C9 team?
Okay. I think it has to come where Cloud9 is strongest. I think
that's a hard question to answer this year. Are you saying Blabber?
I still think it's topside. Like the amount of times I can see Cloud9 sell out top lane and top lane still do really well, like Licorice just either overwhelming an opponent or drawing such aggro and doing well, kind of like think what Impact does in a lot of the way that we describe how Impact plays. I think Licorice is doing that as well, but is able to translate that lead a little bit better into like actually winning the game. And then you look down the line and you have 2 MasterCard Players of the Weeks.
Yeah, Blabber and Zven.
Yeah, and like there are 2 NALCS Rookies of the Year or Rookie of the Splits on that team as well. If you look at the history, like this Cloud9 team is stacked. And mind you, in the like preseason ranking thing, I didn't think it was going to work out. I put Cloud9 at 6th.
Oh, okay.
I put them at 6th.
6th?
Wait. No, I didn't. That was CLG. My bad. Okay, I take that back.
I can pull it up if you keep talking. I remember.
Either way, like this Cloud9 team is so well balanced in their ability to win the game. Especially with like, I hope it doesn't become a meme with Zven and his like KDA. I hope it doesn't become a meme because I think he's actually playing really, really well. Yeah,
74. The Chovy record at 112 that he's trying to break.
Yeah, I would, if I was a Cloud9 fan, I would wish that the conversation was, hey, this guy who's replaced Sneaky is worth.
Yeah.
That's what I wish the conversation was if I was a Cloud9 fan and as a LCS broadcast producer, right? Like
even though Zven just left TSM, like seeing how Zven, like the revenge game factor here, Zven on C9 against TSM, Zven's kind of backed off of some of the stuff he said earlier on like the Summoning Insight episode where he talked like, I don't know why we did this jungle swap, like I'm happier on C9, like I got Vulcan now, we're doing all these amazing things. But then he also later said like, hey, don't flame TSM for this. But he also said all those things. So like I think that Zven now is trying to be a little bit PC, but does resent TSM a little bit and wants to smash them. Maybe I'm reading too much into it. How do you feel about Zven versus TSM here?
So I'm happy that he's succeeding because I think it helps validate some of the reasons why TSM even brought him to NA. It's like he's being a prominent player on a different team. He's taking up a very valuable import slot on a team. And he makes Cloud9 better. Yeah. Like, there's probably a whole episode we could talk about of players after TSM and like the way that
is a good future episode.
Yeah. So like,
is the talent suppression machine meme real?
So like, that's a whole conversation. But like, I think you can be a TSM fan and still be happy for X TSM players because TSM players have a knack of coming back. At least Biofrost did, right?
That's happened. Yeah. He's back. And everyone's happy. Okay, so percentage chance TSM can beat C9. I'm not saying that you should say that they're a favorite because I know
I think
realism has caught up to TSM fans for sure in the past 2 years.
You can't see it, but this is painful.
Yeah, he's face palming. He's like, I don't know what percentage to say.
I think like if everything goes right for TSM, and you get a stellar performance out of Broken Blade, and you get like a 75% Dardoch, where he's not like the best Dardoch game ever, I think TSM can go from like a 35% to a 40%.
Woo!
So like that's what I think the margins are. That's why going into this weekend, like we're about to go do our story meeting for this weekend. I'm like, I'm still seeing Cloud9 as the favorite in this.
Yeah.
By at least 60-40.
Yeah, I was just going talking to Tyler, and we were like, "What's the likelihood that C9 goes 18-0? Like the C9, the C9 potential is just their team just looks so incredible." Are they going to go 18-0? I actually gave them a 25% chance.
Oh, that's pretty good.
It's really high.
That's really high.
Which means I got to give TSM like a 15% chance or 20% chance of winning this game.
Yeah.
And then I'm giving every other team a lower percent because I do think the TSM is one of the biggest threats to go up against C9. But I also just think C9 is so dominant. The thing that'll get TSM the edge here is if Dardoch can just get something good against Blabber, right? Get a 3-buff, get a good counter gank off early.
Sure.
Because from what I hear, C9 is so incredibly dominant in scrims. We've seen them be dominant on stage, so they do not have reps playing from behind.
Gotcha.
So if Dardoch can put them in that position, they're not going to be as practiced.
Yeah, I just thought of something while you were talking.
Yeah.
So it's the counter of the Zven revenge game where he's looking at this. He's circled this match from the beginning of the split when we gave all the teams the things like, this is the day I'm going to take down TSM no matter what. That's the most important game.
Oh, and he's too hyphy.
And then like suddenly Cool Hand Zven is like, he dies in lane. And then suddenly his KDA thing is gone. And then Dardoch is like, oh, opportunity to tilt a player, and like goes in there and like goes for the jugular. And then like Zven has like 5 deaths before 15 minutes. It's like I'm playing on the LCS stage. I think that's a possibility.
Yeah, I'm excited.
I kind of like
for this
that.
matchup.
I kind of like that possibility now. I like Zven.
Yeah, but you want to see him lose to TSM, obviously.
Yeah,
of course you do.
Bit. Yeah,
you don't have to be sad about that. Yeah. All right. Any final words?
I think TSM has a really cool opportunity over the next couple of splits to regain some of the TSM fandom. Yeah. I think because of the, winning NA and then going to Worlds, like, and then not doing well. I think North America is so ready for somebody to do well, and that means that like if it's Cloud9, if it's Team Liquid, if it's 100 Thieves, like whoever it's going to be, I think we'll gain such a boon of fandom in the LCS. Yeah. That I think like that's truly what our region is waiting for.
Yeah. I think from that angle, like C9 right now has the best chance to be that team. Yeah. But I also agree with you that there are just so many dormant TSM fans.
Yeah.
Because they were so big. And I actually... this actually happens fairly frequently. Well, I'll get recognized somewhere, and it's a TSM fan who doesn't watch LCS anymore.
Right.
They're like, oh yeah, I was a huge TSM fan in 2016, but TSM's been struggling lately, so I just haven't really been watching.
Yeah.
Right? So when they're good, it could be a movement where they all come back.
Yep.
So for the league, I want TSM to be competitive. I don't need them to win. That's not what TSM Jatt's here for, but I like it when TSM is good because it's success for the league.
Yeah. Agreed. Yeah. But I genuinely think that TSM wins again. If not this year, next year. All right. Yeah. That's Arthur right there locking it down. That's a 2-year window. It could happen.
It's a 2-year window.
You never know. We've been bad for 2 years.
Yeah.
Sorry. TSM's been bad for 2 years. Well,
they were a game away from MSI, and they were a game away from Worlds on multiple different occasions.
Yeah.
Yeah. 0-6 in their last 6 international tournament berth games. That's how close they were. That's a depressing stat to hear. But it could also be hopeful. Gotta go. Yeah. Guess we're out of time.
Okay. Thanks for having me on, Jeff.
Yeah, thanks, Arthur. This is fun.